Hi there, my name's Jane Anderson and this is the Jane Anderson Brand You Show. It's the podcast for experts who want to have greater impact, influence and income for their businesses and careers. As experts, we know that people buy from people and work with people who they know, who they like and who they trust. So I'm so glad you're here because it's that time again now to really amplify how you show up in the world. Okay, I've been super pumped about introducing our very special guest today and being able to bring our guest into your world and to be able to share a little bit about this person. So this person she is a leadership and communication expert. She is obsessed with seeing people reach their full potential. So she works with people who are leaders, businesses, people in their teams, and helping them to really go to that next level to be able to master their cut through communication, to be able to amplify their leadership, to get the most out of others and realize their limitless potential and their possibility that they have in them to succeed. So since 2006, she has successfully been maximizing the potential of leaders and teams to excel and get to the next level. Her background was working in FMCG, and she, while she was in the corporate world, she won the National Make a Difference Award, which was in the role of her role that she had as the National Business Manager. And she was the National Sales Associate of the Year. She has gone on to build her own practice under her personal brand. So for those who listen, as you know, we operate under our personal brand and often are building our consulting practice under that. And so she's definitely done that. She's then gone on to write, I'll talk about her books in a second, but she's worked with over 24 different industries to date. Some of her clients include people like ANZ, George Weston Foods, Don, KRC, West Farmers, Open Universities, Australia Post, World Vision, the RSPCA, Mazda, and a whole bunch of different types of industries where they're implementing the methodologies that Renee teaches. So she has written 2 books in particular. The first book that she wrote was called Limitless Leadership, and it was really about helping leaders and organizations to be able to have this shift in their leadership capability to lead from the inside out, as she calls it. So since then, she has become, she does a lot of speaking, training, coaching, consulting, and today she has just come off releasing her new book, which is called The Gift Mindset. Actually, I'm going to stop my video for a sec so we can see. We have Gift Mindset, and it's been a day of podcast backgrounds today, which is about unwrapping the 12 gifts to lead and live a life of passion, of purpose, connection, and contribution. So please welcome the one and only, the amazing Renée Giarusso. Yay!
Thanks for having me. What an intro. I think we're finished now.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Good to be here.
So thrilled you're here. And for those who are jumping on, so today, particularly Ali and Cheryl, great opportunity for those who are jumping on live to ask your questions that you would like to ask. Renee has a wealth of experience in this space, and Renee and I have known each other, I don't know, it feels like forever anyway.
Yes.
But Renee, first of all, congratulations on the book. So
Thank
exciting. You. This book is, why is this book, well, actually, before I say that, this book, I think, is, having read it, and I also was one of the endorsers that are in the front of the book, so thank you for the pre-release opportunity to read. This is such a powerful book because it's not just because it's so relevant today, I think, particularly coming off the last year that we've had, but just because this book is you. This is how you operate. This is the essence of you in your book. So can you tell us a little bit about, bearing in mind that the people who are listening, we have mostly women actually that have their own personal brand and practice under their personal brand. Yep. Are you happy to share a little bit about your journey, what led you into starting your practice and your personal brand, and then into how did you end up being published and getting your book into all these distributed through these stores and everything that you've achieved and where you are now?
Yeah, good question. We could be here all day. No,
I know.
So I've always, Jane, as you know, always had a love of learning and growth and being in service to others. And that's been since I was a child. And I had some great roles in FMCG that really, I have to say, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now without those. I think they helped me become who I am and who I'm continually becoming. But I really realised at one point I was in a real L&D type role, leading a national team, implementing and writing programs. And I was like, this is it. I love this. It was my favourite part, of what I did. So I started studying coaching. And to be really open, I've had a coach and been coaching since I was 23. So 25 years, so quite a while. And I started studying, coaching and a few things while I was in this big role. And one day just woke up and went, I'm going to go and do my own thing. Like any business, it's evolved. And I think the key thing the compelling reason that really got me to leave a role that I left and went back, to be straight, because I did love that role. And then 2 weeks later, I was back out on my own. You've got to have a really, really strong why. And mine was to grow people, not because I was their manager, but because they were ready for it. And that was a big why for me.
Right.
Yeah, and I just stuck to that. And obviously the first year we just coached. I think I was coaching cats, dogs, chairs, tables. Anyone that would come in my vicinity was coached.
Yep.
And I went into job search for a year. So this just shows how things evolve. I was sick of the corporate world and I did a lot, and that really built me as a facilitator. And then I went into sales capability training and coaching and a little bit of leadership sort of training. And then the last 8 years has really seen me go, I've got to be easier to buy. I still don't know if I am at times, but I've gone, what do I do? It's leadership and it's communication. And I think communication is the underlying essence of all of that. So, yeah, so our practice, as you know, we have a coaching arm. We've got the workshop, the transformational deep workshop pathways, which are my passion. And then we have speaking and obviously the books to support what we know, what we like to share. And I guess for me personally, it's especially this new book, which we'll talk about, it's my baby in this lifetime. I really feel it's the changes we're hearing through it. And the feedback to date has just blown me away as of the broadness. We've got teenagers, CEOs, cafe owners, startups, professors, people. I had a university student the other day send me this beautiful email saying, going through a really tough time. My dad had this book. Felt really old. And, I read The Gift of Connection and The Gift of Growth, and it's really helped me. So, yeah, it's been a journey. I've had the practice, 14 years now. Love, those of you that are business owners, and I know Jane, we run at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I've always been like that, very passionate and driven. And I think having your why to fly, as I call it, really fueling that with motivation and drive, especially in what we do, you can't not have that. It would be seen a mile away. And just stay focused on being in service and being open to evolve. That's probably the key.
Can you explain that, what you mean by open to evolve?
Yeah, that things change. I've had 5 business cards and 5 brands so 5 branding fields. Don't feel that you've got your logo, you've got your brand, you've got your market. This is who I am. Things change. And even this year, I'm getting different types of clients. And I think you will attract who you are. I really believe that. And you'll sort of not repel, but you do, that the clients that aren't right for you. And it's not always easy. I remember starting my practice, I said yes to anybody. Now, I put a lot into what I do and I want to do the best job, that it's quality over quantity and it's working with the right people. But be open. My first business was called Metamorphosis Consulting with my surname.
That's right. I remember that.
It was welcome to alphabet. But metamorphosis is always
spelling mistakes in URLs.
Oh, geez. It seriously was every letter of the alphabet except Z and one other, I think. Like, so metamorphosis, and I always think, you know, there wouldn't, if there wasn't meant to be change, there wouldn't be butterflies, right? So I love that metaphor around be open to change and go surrender and take it lightly as to what people need. It's not always what you think they need.
I love that, because customers' needs change, their mode of delivery changes, the you know, the whilst we can be delivering leadership programs, but the context is different. The context changes all the time, doesn't it? And their needs, because once that trust is built, then that's when they go, can you do this? Like, this is this thing that we kind of need help with, and you and like, yeah, I can do that. And so then, and I don't know about you, but that's what I found, is that it's just that openness to kind of going, okay, well, if this is what they need, do I know how to do it? Yes. Okay, well, that's all right, we can include that and or add that on or whatever. And next thing, like, actually, this is a thing. This is kind of this thing that they kind of need, and I hadn't even thought about that.
That's right. But it's being disciplined too. And I'm guilty of trying to do and be everything to everyone. So it's also saying, hey, that's not me, but I know someone that could do that, and you know, and referring and that sort of thing as well. But it's, some of the different programs I run have been born out of needs that I've had the expertise in, but then I've put sort of my light on it, my ideas, and running so many things over the years. I've seen a lot, as you know, and you build it into your content that's original, so it's fresh. Yeah.
And Renee, thinking about, like, so you've written two books, and these are books that have generated, you know, amazing programs that you deliver. You put your heart and soul into every single client, not just every single client, but every single day that you go pretty hard. Can you tell us a bit about, like, if I look at the Limitless Leaders book, because we've got some people in our community, and even particularly those who are on today, I know they're at that stage of thinking about writing their book. Can you talk a bit about the strategy behind the two different books? So you've got Limitless Leaders, which was essentially self-published, and with the gift mindset, in this case, you've gone published. This is a really common question that a lot of people have. And how did you know which one was right for you? And are you happy with your decision?
It's a great question. So you've just made me realize I did a self-published book, Limitless Leadership. Then I was part of an anthology, which was different again, and then published. So I've done I hadn't thought of that. So when I wrote Limitless Leadership, which is, you know, part of our brand and our programs, it was what we sort of call a cluster book. So the book, a lot of the content and the practicality in the book is in some of our programs. And to be really honest, it's 2016. I really didn't know the difference between self-publishing and publishing. And I was approached by a publisher, and I sort of went, no, I'm going to self-publish. And it worked well. It's been sort of the backbone, as you know, it complements your business. Don't think you're going to write a book and it's not how it works. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So that was a really good experience. With publishing this book, it was the original publisher, who's amazing, that reached out to me for the first book when I wasn't really didn't understand it. And it is different. It's different in that you get a little bit more guidance. You know, you get, I suppose, the feedback you get, you have to take on board a bit more. When you self-publish, you can sort of go, no, I like that, leave that in. It is a little bit, and we had to cut back probably a sixth of my book. It was way too long.
Right.
But I'm big into feedback, and I just got to the point where I said, take it out. I don't want to know what you've taken out by the end. Because I knew everything in it was important.
Right.
But it's worked. It's clearer, it's more concise. So I guess you get the guidance, you get the support. So the publisher I'm with is very generous. All her authors, even authors from 2 years ago, she will share their insights, share their blogs still, which I think is beautiful. That's what attracted me to this particular publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess on the flip side, not on the flip side, to complement that, we've invested in media.
Yeah, you have to really do that, don't you? Yeah, with the publishers.
Which could have been my full-time job for the last 8 weeks, and it's been out of hours. So if I look a little bit tired today.
You've been writing articles upon articles.
Every night I'm writing, Sundays I'm writing. But you know what keeps me going is you're getting the message out there. I'm writing content, putting different angles on things. Of course, I'm going to repurpose some of it, right, down the track. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not forever, is it? So you'll have one good beautiful collection. So we're getting a lot. We're probably 3/4 of the way through, but TV, radio, articles from Women's Day yesterday, which was pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, they had pictures of Charlize Theron in my article.
Really?
Yeah. Someone's like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "I wish." Women's Day, to Body and Soul, to Mind Food, to CEO Magazine, to Business Insider. And what it's made me realise is the broad reach this message has had. That's probably something last night I went, wow, everyone is embracing this at some level. Right. And I probably wouldn't have known that without doing the media.
And I think you make a really great point, Renee, is that, you know, doing this second, because the first one you did is around just being really commercial and simple and getting out of the way, like doing your Limitless Leaders book matched programs that you were delivering. And so it was really to be able to get out and sell those, optimize those sales. You're not worried about, you know, an article in Business Insider isn't necessarily going to, there's too much risk with that to go, oh geez, I hope if I get published in there that someone might buy my thing. So what you've done is you've done that, like you said, the cluster book, if for those who are from Thought Leaders Business School will know this language, like it's a book that goes with a program. But what you've done with this is you've identified, well, you know, that book was not necessarily the smartest book to take to market to go with a publisher. This was a better option.
Yes, spot on.
Because you could go bigger, Yeah,
you're spot on. Like Limitless Leadership wouldn't be in Women's Day.
No.
Would it, right? So this message is quite broad. I think that's why we've got a lot of media. There is a program that goes on the back of this book, but I wrote the book for the book, then have created the program. The other one was the other way around.
Yes.
So have an intention. Biggest thing I can say is have an intention and be open for that changing throughout the book. So this book was just for leaders. And if you read the book, it's for anyone can apply. So I've had to use 3 to 4 voices in every chapter, which was a bit of work, but I have a few voices in my head, so we'll be right there. So intention, create a writing habit. And Jane, you're just prolific at this. So, you know, not telling you anything you don't do, but I created a habit throughout COVID. I was always writing the book before COVID hit. Every weekend I wrote, and 2 nights a week I researched. I did my podcast interviews. Be smart. I did a lot of interviews on my podcast, then transcribe them into the book as stories, and have that in your diary and jealously protect that time. So I was doing, and this is when I say COVID, I was saving the business during the week. So it was pretty full on, but I was doing sort of like 8 to 1 o'clock Saturday and then 3 till 6. Sometimes Saturday night. We're in lockdown. I'm not a still person, so I had to be doing something. And Sundays I did 10 till 5. And then I had a great editor that I said to her, I want a date every week that you need a chapter. So she was like, are you sure? We'll do it every 2 weeks. I said, every week. This book's 80,000 words. It's a big book. And we did it. And we actually did it earlier. And I think if you're struggling with that habit side, you know, maybe question, is this the right time? Or you have another habit. I just spoke to a client today that's writing a book, and she's like, I've got 2 years to write it. I'm in no rush. And I said, good on you. Take it lightly. Write Wednesday nights. Make it more of a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such valuable advice, Renee, because I know we've got people in our community. We're kicking off with the new program we've got called Bum Glue for Book Writing, which is essentially usually a lot of people say, oh, you need bum glue. If you're not getting your book written, you need
Love
bum glue.
that. Yeah.
So yes, free jars of bum glue to make you sit down and write your book. But you're spot on.
I love that.
Working out what is that cadence and rhythm, or what I love is that you had it as an opportunity, like you're still trying to save your business, but at the same time is working out what's right for you. You're one of the hardest workers I know, and to be able to get this book together, I know how much you've done to do it, but the discipline that you've had to get it done.
But it is discipline, and do what lights you up. So, Jane, I'm a visual.
Yes.
And I had a book cover that I just did on Canva myself. It was nothing like what I ended up with, but I had that up on the back of my door in my office before I started writing the book. I have to see the outcome. Some people go, God, you're weird. Everyone's different. But hey, I love the bum glue. I reckon you could have like Tarzan, that's get it done. Then you can have Clag, which means you can get up and get a coffee. You could have like varying thickness to get it done.
Very value model of glue. We have like super glue.
Super glue, yeah, I love
it. And Ali's saying, I love the idea of the book cover. Yeah, the things you do to keep yourself motivated and to keep that visual alive. The earlier you can come up with the book cover, and like you said, even it doesn't matter if it's not what the publisher comes up with or what your version is of in the end. It's just these things, visual reminders, isn't it, to keep yourself moving and keep yourself going.
It really helped. And those of you that are doing thought leaders, your pink sheets, all that helps, and don't think, even with a publisher, I was heavily involved in the book design. Like my background is marketing, so I was very much knew what I wanted. And we came up, I think, with 5 concepts, and you just know 3 were like, nah, 2 were like, we're nearly there. But, just know whether you're self-published or the other way, it doesn't matter. It's still amazing either way. It's no different as far as, what you're sharing with the world and your message.
Renee, I'd love to ask you, particularly in terms of your journey and your practice, because in the book you talk about the gift mindset, and these are 12 gifts to lead and live a life of purpose, connection, and contribution. As part of your, for somebody sitting there who has this incredible practice, you work with these amazing clients, amazing brands, and you've written 2 books. This one, you're now published, you're out in the bookstores, you're in airports, you're in all this stuff that's happening. If you had to think about, maybe I'm putting you on the spot, but what do you think has been the biggest gift for you? So Renee talks about the gift mindset, as in, things don't always go to plan, but she always asks, what's the gift that's in this? What is it been? I'd love to know, in your practice, as part of growing it, setting it up, and even at the stage where you're at now, what do you think has been the biggest gift for you that may not have looked like a gift when it arrived, but in your practice, or perhaps, that if you can't choose, maybe there's a couple?
Yeah, there is. And you're right. It does change depending on the mood.
Depending if you're in lockdown or not.
Your gifts come from challenges and successes as well, and it's unwrapping them, learning the lessons and using them. And I think they fit in 12 buckets, our lessons, or 12 soft skills, or what I call life skills.
Yeah.
And I had 50, by the way.
Wow. You had 50, and then, that's right, because you came
to 12. I rang you. I rang Jane, and she's like, what is this with you in 12s? Everything. And I go, I don't know. I've always done things in 12s. She goes, can't you have 14? I'm like, no, I have to have 12. I remember that. I reckon, if I look at it, so we've got the gift of, there's quite a few. I'd say the gift of resilience and the gift of contribution would be the two. So I think resilience really layers, gratitude and optimism sort of like underlie resilience, and knowing anything I've done, any challenge I've had each year, I always go, well, I know I can do that again. And especially after COVID, I'm like, I'm very open. I only just saved my business. I'm talking by a whisker.
No, well, you had a lot of corporate training, like the bulk of your practice has been corporate training, yeah?
Corporate, face-to-face. So we lost 90%, as you know, in mid-April, and it's coming back. It's still not where it needs to be, but everything we're doing is a lot around positioning at the moment, which, fingers crossed it all flows on. But the gift of resilience would be a big one. So, and the tips there to, really unwrap that gift and deepen and develop that skill of resilience. Strong support network. And, I'm hand on heart, so appreciative Jane's been in my network 7 years, I reckon.
Something like
that. 7 years. Know and what makes you sparkle. That's another key tip. So if you're feeling a bit down and out, or you're having a tough time, don't go to that person who might be going through that as well at that time. Mm-hmm. Without sounding rude, surround yourself with optimists where you can. And something, I'm really passionate about is know what lights you up, what puts a pep in your step. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's delivery. I love writing and thinking, absolutely love selling, and I love delivery. And we need to split that up in, especially if you've got a thought leadership practice. But for me, clients, last week I did 5 full face-to-face days and was writing till 2 every morning. Friday night, my husband's actually like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I'm great." I did hit a wall Saturday, but I find that gives me energy. So know what it is for you. And I always say do that on a Monday as much as you can to set the tone for the week.
Right.
I had someone during COVID, an engineer, a manager of engineers, and she was I've known her a while, and she just couldn't work out why she felt off the track. And that's usually when we're not getting the things that light us up, but we don't realize that. And she said, "I'm just missing my team." And I said, when do you see them? This is in the virtual world. Right. She said, "Thursday mornings. It used to be Mondays." And I said, "Why Thursday, not Monday?" She said, "Oh, I don't know. I haven't really." I said, "Flip it to Monday." And she's a different person. So Sunday night, you have a different energy and mindset. And I know you're a big believer in this going into the week.
Yeah.
So that helps build on resilience. And I think, another thing, always focus on what you do have, not what you don't. I know there's always someone or something worse off than me out there, always. And I always look at that and just in my head and go, what have I got I can focus on instead of looking at what I don't have? So during COVID, it was, I've got great programs. I know I execute them well. I don't have to change what I do. I just need to change how I do it.
Yeah.
So I'll reframe. And the other one's contribution. It's a human need. I don't feel good unless I'm in service, contributing. And I think if you go into a business knowing and wanting to really contribute from the heart, things will come your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you demonstrate that so well. Like for those, if you aren't following Renee already, you'll get a sense of, I guess, the sense of contribution, that how committed she is to working with her clients. You'll see her social media is absolutely prolific. You are a content creation machine for how you well, but you're one of the few people, I think, for us as experts, we typically have a mode or a way that we we typically like to create, or we like to deliver, or we like to sell, and we all have that default, but you're one of the few that I think does all three equally. Is there a secret, or is that something that just comes naturally to you, do you think, or is it something that you've become? Because I think that's the constant juggle for all of us, and you just seem to do all three almost evenly. Is there any a secret technique that you do to make that work?
think I've got a sales background, and I remember saying to you that day, I love cold calling. It excites me, right? I love it. It's the first thing I do when I'm in the car. I know, weird, but I look at it, I can only say no.
Yeah.
My world's just back to how it was before, right?
Yeah.
So sales I love. The thinking I love, I'm an ideas, probably too much of an ideas person, but I think creating some discipline and some habits going, the better the content, the fresh, relevant content I can write, the even better programs I can deliver, and, have a bit of a point of difference. And, if you're listening and you do leadership or you do branding or what, no one is you. So what is it that sets you apart? And focus on that. And you can't portray that to the world if you're not creating content that's relevant and needed, if you're not getting off your butt and selling. I know we all get referrals and things, but you've still got to be proactive. And if you're not delivering, right?
Yeah.
Because delivering, and that's why workshops are my passion, because I love being in the client's face, hearing their problems. I write notes at lunch, just listening to them, and that's what I go and write my blogs on.
Yeah. Because they're giving you the gold. That's so much valuable IP, isn't it?
Oh, it's like being in a focus group, but you're running the program. And I think that was something during COVID that you didn't come up as much virtually. I've been back face to face full on for 4 weeks, and just those little chats. You're going to have lunch together, and they're like, "Hey, have you ever thought of with this, or do you ever see this?" And things come up. So get the balance. I do most of the time, not always, color code. I don't know if I color code my diary.
Yes.
I have leading, managing, self-growth. They're my 3 areas. So leading is all the stuff leading in my business. So leading is about writing, positioning, social media, the book. Yep. And then the managing activity bit really is the delivery, the day-to-day. And then the self-development is, what am I doing to grow me, to grow others?
Yeah.
And you're probably the same, Jane. We learn so much through others that sometimes we forget to go and read or study up on something. So for me, I love podcasts. I jump on quite a few things. I've got involved in a lot of other thought leaders that I say, can you come along and give me feedback? And that's been really cool. Do that for each other. And then obviously little courses and things I do here and there as well.
Yeah.
And I do read a book a week. I still read a book a week at night.
I'm so glad you said that. I was going to say, one of those activities is trying to get through your book a week. So that's something that you've done for as long as I've known you.
And if you can't, jump on Blinkist. Like, we're fans. And Blinkist just gives you 15 minutes insights or blinks on books. And it's enough to learn or to go, hey, that sounds really cool. I'm going to read that. So Blinkist is a really good app. And break your reading up. I read it's not that businessy, but it's a great, amazing book. And I'm getting some copies, Jane. I'll get you one. It's called Into the Magic Shop.
Oh.
He's a neurosurgeon that had an awful childhood and gets taken into a magic shop over summer, and he's studying magic, but what he learns is mindfulness and intention. And a metaphor I just love to share with everyone out of the book. I wish I'd come up with it. But he says, when you want something, so if you think of your business right now or the next phase, he wants you to see an opaque window, probably be opaque. And the only way to get clarity and see through that is intention. And your intention is like a demister.
Right.
So the more intention you have, that cloud or fog or whatever will disappear, and things you can see you will usually achieve. And there's a lot, and he's a neurosurgeon, right? So there's a lot of statistics to back it up. But I love that metaphor.
That's powerful.
Isn't it good?
So good. So it's called Into the Magic Shop.
Yes, and I can't remember the author, if you just go into the magic shop. And the funny thing was, at the end of the book, he said, I came up with some odd letters that became my alphabet mantra, and 6 out of the 8 topics are my gifts in it. and it was written years ago, and I've just read it.
Isn't it bizarre?
James Dotty, that's it. Thanks, Ali.
Got it?
Yeah.
Great. So Renee, one of the questions I've got is and this is probably related to one of the bigger challenges. And of course, I mean, you come from a sales background, you've worked in business development, you've been, and not just in business development, but business development for some really big brands. And you've now, brought that over into your space. I remember being around you, in programs that we've been involved in, and at lunchtime, Renee's the one that's on the phone closing, her 6-figure deal, and then you're going, are you going to get some lunch? Yep, I've got 15 minutes left till I can call this person. I'll have that when I'm on the run. But you are so focused on, but what I love about you is that your focus is not, your business development focus is more about the focus on sharing. We interviewed you when we ran Women with Influence for the first time back in 2017, and you talked about the mindset of sales that you've learnt as particularly in your practice, and this mindset of sharing. I wondered if you might be able to share a little bit about that, because this whole selling yourself and going, hey, can you buy my thing? Or can you talk a little bit about, because that's a fear I think sometimes, and we talk about in our program joyful selling, is how do you make selling joyful? And when I watch you, I think about you make it look fun, you make it look like you're in service, but you actually are in that mindset anyway. Are you happy to share a little bit about your mindset of the sharing and sharing selling?
I think what you've hit the nail on the head. It's lose the word selling, it's sharing.
Right.
And I always have a thing, failing to help someone make a buying decision is failing to help them, especially if they've come to you. So it's more inbound.
Right.
I think people freak out about ringing and all that sort of thing. So I think it comes down to really, if you really have conviction in your message and whatever, whether you're selling widgets or a service or whatever, if you've got conviction in that, be excited about sharing it. And I always think there's so many people I want to share what I do with because I know it's going to help them. That's as basic as it comes back to.
Right.
There are two camps, and we used to do a lot of sales capability training. There's people that aren't as open to it and people that are, and not always, but a lot of the people that have this sort of barrier up, they've been sold to in an ugly way.
Right.
It's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So that's a gift. What did they do? Just do the opposite, right?
Right.
So I think reframe. So you're sharing, especially if people come to you, failing for you to give them what they need, you're failing your client or a potential client. They've come to you. Know what, this goes back to know what problems you're solving. And I think if you ever have that doubt, go and read some testimonials or look at somebody that you've worked with that's had an amazing result and think, how can I not share that? Right. But yeah, and just create some little rituals, some little habits. So mine, I've had it for, I feel I'm getting so old now. Had it for 25 years, five calls a day.
Yep.
So when I say 5 calls, just say Jane rang me and said, hey, Renee, I spoke to someone who you probably should speak to. That can count as one of the 5. Yep. Another 5 could be driving. It's just how my mind works. And I see a company and I go, should be in there. And at lunch, I'll quickly look them up. It could be sending just a nice note on LinkedIn or an email. It doesn't always have to be a call. Mm-hmm. And there's no excuses. When I have people, some clients that go, oh, but I had to run a workshop or I had this on. So do I. So it could be 2 in the morning, 1 at lunch, 2 on your way home. Hello. It's not hard. And if you don't do your 5, then you need to make them up.
Right. So if you haven't got your 5 that day, you got 10 to do the next day.
Yeah, totally. So it's just it's a game with yourself. We say this, have some fun with it. And like I said before, if you reach out to somebody, and, I'll be very straight up, there was a construction company I reached out to this morning that I heard had finished something else. And I left a message and they emailed me back and said, oh, we know who you are and we know what you do, but we have no need at the moment. that's fine. That's just a later. That's the worst thing that can happen. So, but now they've got my email, my links, hopefully going to be top of mind.
Yeah, I love that. You really are, because you've come from, that sales background,
Yeah.
and you just know the value of that staying connected. And a big part of it is, sort of staying connected, and just those little habits, whether they're existing clients you've worked with in the past, possible new clients.
Yeah.
That habit and routine that we talk about, even in expert to influencer, is those 5 calls every day, 5 connections every day in some way, shape or form.
Yeah. And it's not, it sounds hard, but it's 5. It's not, it's not too much. And we're rebuilding a bit at the moment. We've had some clients we're finishing with, like it was that time, some others coming on board, some new ones we're looking at. So we're in a bit of a sort of shedding phase at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is I just feel it's right.
Yeah.
I'm not, I could get like, oh gosh, this uncertainty, but I'm like, it's the next phase. I just feel there's something different.
Yeah, I don't know if you're finding this, but I think the globalization, the use of technology, connecting people, going deeper on their work, like it's changed people's practices quite a bit. And Cheryl's just got a question here for you too, Renee. So Cheryl is her background, she's an expert in virtual live training, so creating really
I've met
great.
Cheryl.
Yeah, you met Cheryl. Yeah, of course, I forgot.
Yes, hi Cheryl.
Yeah. So Cheryl's question is, she said, you're making me think about the power of tiny habits. What other tiny habits do you rely on to build your business? Great question, Cheryl.
Awesome. There's a few. So gosh, there's quite a few. So I have something I've come up with called bookend habits. You know how bookends, so one in the morning and one at the end of the day. I'm writing a thing on it at the moment. So being really intentional. I'm the sort of person, and so I can't escape here because Jane knows me so well. She knows this. I'll do 500 different types of things every day. I love diversity. So today, for example, I'm on 5 podcasts today. So I plan to go into podcast giving mode. So one habit is to cluster like-minded things or headspace zones together. So that's one for me. The 5 calls is a really obvious one. I write 2 blogs every fortnight as a minimum. So I write them in one hit, send them to Jackie, who does all my social, like posts all my social media. So I never write one. And even if I'm ahead of myself, I'll write another one. And if things get busy in delivery, I always go, oh, yes. Some other little habits, the same with social media. We sort of plan out themes and everything. So every 3rd Sunday, I have social media Sunday. I know, sounds a bit riveting, doesn't it? But I sort of really plan out and just think about what I want, and, write 4 or 5 pages of post content. So that's ready to go. So I think building some habits around different areas and batching like-minded things together. Something I am doing now, which I wasn't doing a lot because we're probably 50-50, face-to-face and virtual, is when I do have full-on virtual days. Like tomorrow I've got a 2-hour, a 3-hour and a 4-hour, and they were literally all virtual, and they were literally back to back, and we've moved them. And I said to my business manager, we need like 20 minutes in between.
Yeah.
And I actually get change. So I've got change for each podcast today.
Right.
I know that probably sounds out there, but I'm in a different zone. I'm dressed for you now, right? And it changes your energy. Yeah, it changes your energy. And without going on about the virtual world, this is a trigger for me. I wear different perfumes. So if I'm running a workshop, I wear the perfume I would wear as if I was going out. And then I have the casual one for webinars. Right. And I was talking to someone in Thought Leaders the other day, and they're like, wow, that's deep. That's actually an anchored trigger.
Yeah, that's a real connection and a real anchoring. Yeah.
And yeah, so they're just some little habits. And around the selling, Cheryl, I think I have a 24-hour turnaround for a proposal.
Right.
Now, sometimes you sort of go, whoa, but you start to get some templates, and to be able to say to anyone that comes to us after we've scoped out their needs, I will have something to you in 24 hours. It's built a discipline around that.
Yeah, we've done, for those that are in our community, as you would know, Renee, like you've kind of got those good basic templates, or your brochure or your program idea. So it's easy.
Yep.
You've done all the thinking. It's really just a matter of starting to put the numbers together if you've got to work through that. So, Renee, if you think back over your practice, you talked about the things that give you the biggest gift in terms of, you talked about the gift of resilience, and you talked about the gift of contribution. If you had your time again and you were starting your practice right from the beginning and all over again, what would you do differently, or what advice would you have to anyone who is earlier in this game and kind of going, I'm just kind of getting the hang of, writing a book and clusters and programs, and what advice might you have for those who are a bit earlier in the game?
There's a few things. I would have written my book earlier. I always had this thing, I think of like the movie Beaches, sitting on the beach, writing my book with a blanket around me when I'm like in my 60s, which isn't that far away. But that's what I sort of thought. That was a limiting belief that was sort of around me. And then I learned that, hey, I can write a book now, and I've done 3 in 4 years. So I think if you've got a book in you, you're already an author if you're blogging in that. So don't look at it as out of reach. Just do an ebook, do white papers, just get stuff out. It really helps to be able to send somebody something before you've met them. And I didn't have that until probably 7 years ago.
Right.
The other thing I would probably do differently, I probably would have got help earlier. Right. And it was a catch-22. Like, I don't have the financial backing to do that, so I'll keep doing everything. But, if I went back in time, I probably would have even taken a loan and got someone to help me, because the time that would have saved, and I would have been able to step into my genius, into my power. And even now, I've got some great people back end. There's still a lot of things I'm doing that I shouldn't be. That's post-COVID, but that'll change.
Yeah.
I think get help, outsource the things, do the things that are great, not good.
Yes.
Do the things that are exceptional, not even that are great, and get other people doing that. And make sure you've got a good, strong support network. I'm not one to ask for help, and I'm always the helper. And that's actually a big one, Jane. I think only probably the last 2 years I've really felt that I can ring certain people, and people love to help.
Yeah.
Don't they? They do. So there's some key ones.
Particularly, I mean, you're a very generous person too. I always think, a good friend of mine talks about swings and roundabouts, and she says what goes around comes around. Your generosity, and genuine generosity, you always are, in terms of the things that you give to people. So of course those things will always come back to you. So Renee, if we want to follow you, we want to learn more, if everyone's going, oh my God, I'm a massive fan of Renee now, she is amazing, how do I follow her, how do I get more Renee, where do you want them to go, and where is the best spot to check out your book?
So the book's in all bookstores, in all good bookstores. It hasn't hit the airports yet. We're holding off a little bit.
Okay.
Amazon, Booktopia, but if you go to giftmindset.com, the book has its own website that you can order on, and we've got lots of downloadable free resources. We've done an infographic poster on each of the 12 gifts.
Terrific. And
lots of things you can print off. And reneegiarusso.com is obviously our main page, and we've got we're building lots of resources and access to lots of different things on that. I just wanted to mention, if I can, I'm doing a 25th of May. It should be live tomorrow, 25th of May, 1 till 2:30 p.m. I'm running a interactive workshop called Unwrap, the gift mindset.
Oh, great.
and it's $47, and all proceeds are going to Breast Cancer Australia.
Love it. Great.
So great way to come along and see what it's all about, and donate to a cause that's very, I was going to say close to my chest, but that's a bit punnish. Close to my chest.
So it's virtual or face-to-face, Renee?
It's virtual, this one. 90 minutes, and we'll just be talking about what it is, what gets in the way, the 4-step process to unwrap the gift mindset, and then I'm going to do an overview on the gift of optimism.
Oh, I love it.
So it'd be awesome to see anyone if they can come along. It'll be on our website and everything in the next 24 hours. So
okay, great. All right. If you yourself or Jackie's happy to shoot me the link, I'll put it up, because I'll put the recording
awesome.
up in our community before the podcast goes up.
Yeah.
So I'll pop the link up in there as well.
Perfect.
So that'd be terrific. Well, if you haven't reached out to Renee already, or you reach out, say hi, particularly if you're in our community and you haven't met Renee personally. Renee's based in Melbourne, and so it's always great to connect lots of our Melbourne friends together. So reach out, follow her jump on reneegiarusso.com, thegiftmindset.com,
just giftmindset.com. Yep.
And keep an eye out for her workshop. I always think something like that is so valuable, because it's not just about going, oh, well, there's an event and being able to attend, but it's actually seeing someone in their genius, seeing someone who is extraordinary at what they do, world class. They've got an exceptionally successful practice. They've written these books, all that sort of thing. And I know people in our community are very generous in that they're happy for people in our community to come along to something like that and support that, but also to be able to say, well, okay, I've got, because otherwise you are on your own and it's really hard to benchmark yourself.
Totally.
Go, okay, here's someone who's done this for years, and to be able to go, oh, she just did something like, I haven't thought about doing that, or maybe I could do something like that.
It's a good point, Jane. It's probably another thing I probably haven't done a lot of in the past, more probably a time thing, but that's just, that's not a good excuse. But jumping into each other's workshops. And even, I've had somebody in our community say, I just want to see you in action and learn about you. And I said, I'd love your feedback. Yeah. And seeing the process and learning something along the way. So that's something, all of us, I know everyone we know would be open to that. Like,
of course,
it's a win-win. It's awesome.
And equally offering to, and even offering to help, if someone's in your town and, pick them up from the airport, say, I'll give you a ride. The generosity of what you'll learn in those opportunities. Offer to help them if they've got books that, help them carry some books. Offer to stand on the stand and sell some books. I get those opportunities. If you're seeing people around, there's, that generosity comes back to you. If you offer to help, that's, absolutely how it will come back to you. So Cheryl has said, thank you so much for all you've shared, Renee. So lovely to see you, which is super lovely. Great. Thanks for jumping on. And thanks again, Renee. Keep up the incredible work. We are cheering you on. And congratulations on the Gift Mindset book. It's great to see it out and for you to be at this stage of the journey. And we look forward to having you back again in future.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Jane. Been awesome.
Bye.